Tune into The Edge 88.1 KDPS Sundays from 10 to midnight for an in-depth look at your favorite sports teams with Primetime Pat and the Deputy.
We will have the highlights from the weekend of sports, talk about the most exciting games, and have the scoop on the biggest topics in sports heading into your work week.
Make sure to tune in and get your weekly sports fix on Sundays from 10 to midnight on The Edge 88.1 KDPS.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marshall Dolch here on 88.1 KDPS, The Edge. And I have some very interesting news here. You know, rumors started to swirl yesterday during the Super Bowl that Katy Perry and Tim Tebow are a prospective couple. And apparently, Perry was kind of poking fun of the situation, and she even dedicated a song that she sang to Tebow. You know, just kind of having a little fun and, you know, maybe not taking it too seriously, trying to lighten up the whole situation. But I just find this intriguing in the least, due to the fact that Tebow is such an avid Christian and is so strong in his faith, and you know, he's so focused on his football career and doing good in his community and all that good stuff, that it's just hard to bring Katy Perry into the equation of even him thinking about having a significant other and you know, not necessarily being a distraction, but something else to talk about besides his work on the football field and his faith. So we'll keep you updated on that. Here is Fascinated by Freesaw. And we're back here on 88.1 KDPS, The Edge. I'm Marshall, and I've got my buddy here, Lamar, and we're just going to talk a little bit about traveling. And, you know, I've only flown once in my entire life, and I'm not an avid flyer. I don't know. It just doesn't really appeal to me. Lamar, where have you all traveled?
I traveled all over the world. I'm actually from Europe. I'm from Liechtenstein. And since I was 4 years old, I've been traveling back and forth to the United States, and I love it here. And the plane ride is like 9 hours each, so I spend a big part of my life in a plane. How about you?
Very cool. Well, like I said, the only one time that I've actually flown was flying Southwest, but I mean, I've got some family out in Denver, and that's the only place that we've really to and from. I have driven out to Las Vegas before, and let me tell you, that is a drive. But I wasn't even 21, so I couldn't gamble. And, you know, it's kind of just whatever, family trip, you know, kind of sightsee, walk up and down the strip, but whatnot. But you being from Europe, that's got to be really cool. I mean, you've seen a lot of places, you've seen a lot of different cultures, you've met a lot of people. I mean, those experiences have got to be something special in your lifetime.
Yeah, it was, especially when I went to Italy. You'll never meet people like there are people in Italy. It's interesting. What you have to be careful for is they cannot drive. I'm sorry, Italians cannot drive. I got hit 3 times in a week and no one stopped for me.
Wow, that's crazy. That's hard to think of, you know, or hard to believe, hard to fathom, you know. But I hope to do a little bit of traveling here in my time as I get older. But until then, that is all we have for traveling, and we will have Hey Baby by Pitbull next. And we're back here on 88.1 KDPS, The Edge, and this is Marshall. Some news that I just learned was of Alberto Contador's stripping of the 2010 Tour de France title Monday after being found using a banned substance. And I'm not that big into cycling by any means, but anything in the sporting world kind of interests me. And this was definitely interesting due to the fact that he was once teammates of Lance Armstrong, who is a pretty beloved American athletic icon, you know, in this country. And it just kind of makes you think or second guess when you watch that stuff, you know, who out there is clean, who isn't doping, and who isn't. You know, it's hard to tell, even though they may come off very innocent or, you know, very clean, you know, and upheld their reputation, but they really could be doing something. And this is just another scenario, another case of this happening in today's athletic community. Again, Alberto Contador was stripped of his 2010 Tour de France title Monday by the 3-panel CAS, and they found him using a banned substance. So unfortunate news for cyclists once again, kind of giving them a bad rap here as of late, especially with Armstrong and all that he's gone through with his scenarios, his cases about what he has been accused of doing and what he has not been accused of doing. So we'll just keep you updated on the cycling world. Next, we have I Might by Wilco. Good afternoon once again. This is Marshall on 88.1 KDPS, The Edge, and I'm with my partner,
Lamar Schaedler.
And, you know, we were just kind of discussing some of the technology that we use today, and I personally, I just have an iPod, and we're talking Apple here, and the late Steve Jobs. Lamar, what kind of Apple products do you use?
Well, I have an iPod and an iPhone, but they're both third generation, so they're pretty old compared to what is coming out or what is out right now. You have anything besides an iPod?
No, just that iPod, and like you kind of touched on there, I mean, they're always coming out with something new, and it seems like just as I got my iPod, something better, something newer, something more cutting edge was coming out. And it was great to have the iPod, but it's like, man, I want that new stuff right now. And it just kind of, there's something like this world. It's something's always better is happening. But, back to Apple itself, my brother has an iPad, and he seems to like it a lot. It's kind of like a miniature laptop, per se. Just all touchscreen. It's got a lot of apps on there, just as your iPhone probably does.
Yeah. I don't like the iPod as much.
You don't?
iPad, I'm sorry.
Oh, really? Because it's a little bit bulkier, not as convenient.
It's basically just like my iPhone, and it's a bigger version of an iPhone. Everyone who has an iPad is going to agree with me about that, probably, if they ever used an iPhone before.
Absolutely. Like, I see a lot of people on this campus that have iPhones. I'm not going to lie to you. I get a little jealous because they have the whole world in the palm of their hands, it seems like. They got, like I said, all the apps. They can tell the temperature outside. They can check their email. They can, obviously call people, text people, and they can play that. That's basically their iPod itself. I mean, your iPhone is basically your iPod because it can hold just as much music,
That is true, but I also noticed that my iPhone is getting slower the more music I load on it. So I'm not sure if there's a programming problem with my older version of my iPhone or if I should just update these things every week. I actually did start updating once again because my iPhone was just breaking down.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to happen with anything over a period of time, but I think it's a little better than my old LG Bliss. It's basically a brick. I mean, I text and call on that, and that's about it, and it's not used for too much more. That's why I have to carry around my laptop, for people or places, rather, with Wi-Fi, and it makes it a little inconvenient, but I get by, I guess, But Apple sure is on the cutting edge of technology. They keep coming out with a lot, even with the late Steve Jobs. I mean, I think they're just working that much harder. They're unleashing new ideas, and they're really changing and turning heads in the technological world.
But do you really want a computer in your pocket? That is the question I'm asking myself. Do you really want to walk around with a computer in your pocket, and instead of a phone that can just text and call? I mean, that was the purpose of a phone originally.
You're absolutely right, but, we'll just have to leave that up to the consumers. Up next, we've got Wild Boy by MJK. And we're back here on 88.1 KDPS with Marshall. And you guys may have not have enjoyed the blizzard this weekend, but this blizzard is surefire. The Ankeny Dairy Queen, located at 1810 South Main Street, is donating $1 to Meals from the Heartland for every blizzard sold. You got all your original and normal blizzard flavors from Heath, the Peanut Butter Cup, to Chocolate Extreme. That's this Saturday from 11 to 11 at Dairy Queen in Ankeny, located at 1810 South Main Street. Also, in the Ankeny Dairy Queen is sponsoring an Ankeny High School Saturday morning from 11 to 2 to help pack meals for hurricane victims. This is all taking place this Saturday, taking place from 11 to 11 at the Ankeny High School and Ankeny Dairy Queen, located at 1810 South Main Street in Ankeny. You'll feel like royalty when you eat at Dairy Queen. And we're back here on 88.1 KDPS. I'm Marshall, and this is my partner,
Lamar.
And we're just going to talk to you a little bit about shoes. And yes, you might find that an interesting topic coming from two guys, but I myself am a big shoe fanatic. I've probably got about 15 to 20 pairs currently sitting in my closet, and each are probably hovering around the range of $100 a piece. Some range up to $150 a piece, but Lamar, on the other hand, he's not such a big shoe fanatic. He's not really into that sort of thing. So Lamar, tell us what kind of shoes you got.
Well, to be honest, the shoes I'm wearing right now were about $30, and I bought them at Yonkers just because they were cheap and I need a new pair of shoes. I do have a couple of pairs of shoes at home, which I'm proud of my running shoes, especially. They were kind of expensive, around $100 too. They're really comfortable. I love to wear them all around summer, every day. And of course, I got my winter shoes right now, and like I said, they're around $30 only. But how come you like shoes that much? Is it just for basketball, or what's going on?
Oh man, I just kind of grew up, started getting the East Bay magazines in the mail each month, and they kind of grew on me. Just kind of one of those hobbies you like getting interested into. And I have shoes for basketball. I usually have multiple pairs for different games, and I have different colors, different colorways for each outfit. Maybe I'm wearing orange, maybe I'm wearing red, maybe I'm wearing blue. I gotta have everything to match a little bit of every outfit. So that's just how I do. And my parents always found it a little bit odd too, but just one of those interests, one of those gotta haves. So that's how it is. Up next, we've got Lady Gaga's "You and I." And we're back here on 88.1 KDPS with Marshall. And I was just reading up on some of my gossip, some of my latest news, and one of my favorite actors, Angelina Jolie, is, she's married to Brad Pitt, and many ladies adore Brad Pitt. But, I would go out on a limb. I would say she's one of the hotter actresses out there, and personally I'm attracted to her. But Brad Pitt still says she's a bad girl. And although she is a United Nations ambassador, she's the mom of 6, she carries herself really well, like I said. She is pretty darn sexy. She plays really, really good in role plays and movies, and she's just a fantastic actor. But like I said, she is sexy, and that'll tie right into our next song, "Sexy and I Know It" by LMFAO. Good morning, everyone. You're listening to The Edge 88.1 KDPS with Marshall, and today we are joined by Joey Aguirre, the sports editor of the Grandview's newspaper. And Joey, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Marshall. How you doing?
Not too bad. Now, recently, there was a little bit of controversy concerning the newspaper and the track and field team on campus, and it's indoor season. They also have an outdoor season, but right now it's indoor season and are currently at nationals. But after their winning of the Midwest Collegiate Conference title, they didn't feel like they got the publicity deserved in the newspaper of that week's issue. Can you explain why there wasn't a story or more publicity concerning the issue?
Yeah, well, we have a weekly publication. It comes out every Friday, and they won the title on that Saturday after our newspaper came out on a Friday. So we thought that the news was old news. So we figured everybody on campus would know about it. We put it on our website. We tweeted it. We put it on our Facebook. And then we figured the news was old news. So we were trying to get a picture for the next week's upcoming paper. They didn't have a picture available, so we had to go on without it. We already had our stories written for the week, and it was just so happened to be that we couldn't get anything about the indoor track team in there. So we ended up pushing it and making it 2 weeks later. And we're actually doing a full recap we had a preview of the national meet, and we're having a full recap of the national meet in next week's paper. So we're trying to make it up to them. We really didn't mean to. It just happened to be with the 1 week publication that we do, and just how we were covering certain sports. We weren't able to actually, fully dedicate an entire section to that.
But you guys thought you did a pretty good job of publicizing it on social networking and whatnot, to make sure that the followers of those social networks did understand that you guys didn't completely miss them or forget about them, but it was just old news.
Yeah, because we knew that they had won, and we wanted to make sure everybody else knew that. But then we figured by the time that next Friday's paper would come out, everybody would already known about it, and we were just beating a dead horse. They already knew that who had won, that both men and women had won the title, so we weren't going to put that in our paper because we wanted to keep the news fresh and updated.
Okay. So there was a little bit of controversy, like I said, on Facebook. How did you guys respond to those opinions or comments that were made about you guys slacking or not doing your job?
We thank them actually for letting us know that they read the paper. That lets us know that they read the paper, that we're doing our jobs, and we love to hear feedback from our readers. And we apologized once again. We're very sorry that we didn't get anything in that paper. But once again, we tried to do everything we could. We put it on our website, Facebook, Twitter. But that lets us know that people are reading what we're putting out, and that kind of. It doesn't give us a pat on the back, but it lets us know that, okay, so people are out there listening to us and reading,
Which is definitely a good thing. That's what you like to hear as an editor, for sure. For the future, is there anything you're going to do differently about this, or you guys are just going to keep going about your ways and kind of continue what you've been doing?
Definitely going to try to stay more on top of that, because we could have had probably at least a photo or something in the newspaper that week about letting them know that, hey, this is the conference championship is tomorrow, or But I think we do a really good job. Keely, our head editor, really does a really good job of making sure everything's balanced out and making sure we hit on every sport, usually a couple of times a season. So we try to keep everything balanced and everything fair.
Yeah, I completely understand. I mean, I'm an avid reader of the newspaper, and I think you guys do an excellent job of, it's hard to keep, everything in there, and especially with sports being so prominent on this campus, and for a little over 2,000 people on campus. Yeah, you think you can cover everything, but there's a lot to write about, and especially with what you have, in the class, on the editing staff, and whatnot in that aspect. So, yeah. Very good. I wish you all the best in your future, and I appreciate your time with us here today. So, enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck with all your newspaper, happenings.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a good day.
That's Joey Aguirre on The Edge 88.1 KDPS. So, we appreciate you guys listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.